Hey, look, we're still playing Arkham Asylum. This is great.
This is one of those moments when you're like, Batman, you could really use a gun.
Yeah, I think in this instance...
like, you don't need to stick to your principles all the time.
Which, I mean... Oh, gosh, we should save until we actually start. So I was going to talk about how the Batman gun thing...
Mm-hmm.
When did that become, like, actual canon? Because...
It became actual canon when the...
Well, I know that there's the comics code.
Yeah, the comics code stuff.
But I don't know if that made it... I don't know... Was there ever a point when he actually said, "Oh, I don't use guns"?
Yeah, so Batman's parents being murdered, I believe, is because...
Yeah.
So the comics code was like, he can't use a gun. And they were like, we have to come up with a reason he doesn't use a gun. So they're like, his parents were killed using a gun.
Which I love. I mean, because I've done a lot of reading and stuff on the comics code.
You can say research. You've done a lot of research.
I've done a lot of research. I went to the Library of Congress.
You wrote a paper.
And spent several hours doing like physical, actual research.
We just want to make sure people don't think you're talking like Wikipedia.
Yeah, right, yeah. But because I haven't done research on this particular aspect, I just love how comics dealt with the comics code, like the ways they adapted, like coming up with this idea of Batman not using guns,
right?
because he wasn't allowed to anymore, and so they're like, well, we have to. But also that's when Batman started getting campy because they're like, because the real thing that they were really cracking down on wasn't just violence in comic books; it was crime comic books, like his genre of comic books,
right?
Which is actually why I love the Nolan movies, because it's a genre of film that he's using Batman to do, which is the same thing that. Before the comics code, that's what Batman was a genre of comic books, crime comics. And it was just another character in those comic books. But anyway, so like making him more campy and kid friendly was the way that they dealt with the regulations imposed on the comics code. Which, like, looking back, like that actually in the long term probably helped propel the character longer than it would have otherwise.
There's these files on the ground.
Are those important?
Zoom in
insane.
And take a look.
That person's insane.
It's just like, oh, look at it.
I hope they actually do that in asylums where they're like, this person is now official, I guess certifiably.
Well, insane's a legal term.
Yeah.
Not a psychological.
Oh, that's okay.
Did you want to say more about this guy?
Well, these are all corrupt politicians that are messing with this stuff, right?
Isn't that, I don't know. I guess we had to backtrack a little bit because
you resuscitate him?
Because I want to keep that stuff about the comics code.
Yeah. Did you want to say something about this guy?
No,
he's ugly. Bless his heart.
We'll talk more about him later. There's more.
What's up with this cop? Why wasn't he helping?
He was trapped.
Oh, he was behind a gate.
There was the electrical things.
It would be so traumatic to be one of these people.
I mean, he has a face guard. He looks like an umpire.
He does. I was just thinking that.
One thing that does get better in the later games is the expression on Batman's face, which at this point does not change. Open it.
Well,
are you smiling?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
No expression.
Yeah. No expression.
How about this Joker?
But first, before we get too far away from the gun thing,
I
was gonna say, because in the early comics, he used guns all the time, and he killed people all the time, and in the Tim Burton movie, he killed people,
he killed people in Returns,
and
he kills the Joker,
and he does
in Batman.
He doesn't have a steadfast rule of I don't kill like he does in the Nolan movies, so I don't know which is closer to how the comics were at the time, because I haven't read a lot from that era.
He used to kill people. Superman used to kill people. And that's something that when people are trying to defend Man of Steel.
So I can understand the not using gun things, but when did the not using guns translate to not killing? Or like no lethal force, or...
I would assume it's the same...
I need to go there.
Same time period.
Well, I don't know, because that's what I mean, is that... because the film just didn't... The first film, the 89 film, did not address that whatsoever. It did not say, oh, I have a rule where I don't kill people.
Yeah. Well, I think...
And in Batman Forever, like, he doesn't really have it as a rule, but he brings it up. Killing's not going to help you, like, when he's talking to Dick Grayson, he's like, killing's not going to help you feel better about your parents dying.
Well, what's interesting about that is that he seems to imply that the reason he doesn't think killing will help is because he's like, I know, because I killed the guy that killed my parents.
Right, because this is supposed to be the same universe as the Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Even though it's a different guy and different looking city altogether. But it's supposed to be like, so he's implying that I killed the guy who killed my parents and I'm still tortured.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting.
Yeah, which is why Batman Forever could have been a really good, like one of the better Batman films, but they cut out some important scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go on about the Joker.
Well, I was just going to say that what's interesting to me about this Joker is that...
Oh, look at that.
Iceberg Lounge.
Penguin reference there.
They have Iceberg Lounge, like, advertisements in the...
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's...
When you get out of the asylum,
come
join. It's recruitment.
Yeah. Maybe that's a corruption thing. Maybe that's implying...
no guns. There we go.
A little heavy-handed, huh, Rocksteady? So
also, why? I'm assuming that any inmate comes in has to go through like a metal detector and is like stripped completely.
Yeah.
Are they gonna like sneak one in, and is a sign gonna stop them?
Yeah. Oh no, I can't have guns.
Oh, I thought I could have guns. But then it makes me wonder: is it for the staff
guards? Oh, the staff.
The staff. You know, like the doctors, like that poor guy with the bucket on his head.
I was just gonna ask, who's the guy with the bucket on his head?
Well, he was like clearly like a psychiatrist who's just showed up to work one day and
I hope
ended up with a bucket. Like, do they come in thinking it's dangerous here? I should bring a gun, and then they're like, no.
I really do hope that like the city government of Gotham, like that these people get great pensions. Like, can you imagine getting a phone call like, we're reassigning you, we're calling on you to now work as a psychiatrist in Arkham. Because that's like, you're going to die.
Right. that's the implication.
Like, it's like we're sending you to your death.
You should take out a very large insurance policy.
Yeah. But that's why, so bringing that up, one of the things that's interesting about Batman is that you have to accept 1930s and 40s logic on certain things.
Yeah.
Because it's actually reasonable to assume that you would have an asylum that's someone that was like really corrupt and really awful, and that bad things happen there, and that you could end up with bad luck of working there. Things like that existed back then. So there is kind of this logic in the Batman universe that society's actually progressed enough that Batman makes no sense in a modern urban environment, but he made sense in the 30s and the 40s. And so that's why I like I was mentioning earlier, that when you create Gotham City has to be this reflection of, it can't be modern in like a literal sense.
Yeah.
Like, it has to accept certain things that made sense in the 40s, but it's also like this weird vision of the future.
I just want to point out that this guy's alcoholism is what's saving him right now.
Wait, which guy?
The guy that he has to rescue. He scanned his flask.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now going through and finding alcohol particles in the air, and that's how he's going to track him down.
Well, to work here or whatever, you probably have to drink a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, the battering isn't working. Not good for every scenario.
Try going a different way. Because you're trying... Well, I mean...
That's really helpful advice.
Yeah, so the next one should be... Yeah, see.
Okay. Let's go this
vapor trails. Like, I mean, I just love the idea that somebody's just, like, drank a lot, and then as they exhaled, the vapor from alcohol just kind of stays in the air, hovering.
There's more alcohol.
Batman's walking through here just getting drunk on fumes.
So Arkham, this is something I just looked into the other day when we talked about doing this. Arkham Asylum was introduced to the Batman universe in the 70s, which I did not know.
Yeah, I think I did know that.
Which makes sense. So one of the things I think about sometimes when I think about these things is when people talk about the history of Batman, the historical development, and his like rise to being the most popular superhero in the universe.
Yeah.
They always look to Frank Miller, and they're like, no one cared about Batman, and he was stupid and campy, and then Frank Miller happened.
Yeah.
But there was the 70s and the 80s,
Neil Adams,
Denny O'Neil, and like Arkham comes from that era, and a lot of the villains come from that era. that people love now. And the Joker became a serial killer again in the 70s. It wasn't like Frank Miller.
Right.
And so, you know...
Well, I think there is some truth to that. Frank Miller and The Dark Knight Returns got people interested in comics.
Yeah.
And it did a lot for comics and Batman in that sense. But no, I definitely think there was a sense of interest in the character of Batman that led...
Batman's got a hole in his cape? What's going on?
Yeah, I got damage. I got battle damage.
Next time, we'll see what happens next.
GameForBrains.